All right, welcome to the Pima County Sheriff's Department. I'm Captain Stewart with the Pima County Sheriff's Department Corrections Bureau. Seated here, if you were watching those videos, are the role players that were playing out those scenarios for you. Very real life scenarios. Now we're going to open this up so these officers who've done a lot of time in a corrections facility can give you some advice. So you can tell we have a diverse mix here. I have Lieutenant Navarro, Lieutenant Dominguez, I have Officer Jefferson, Officer Orozco, Sergeant Montano, and CO Duarte. So these individuals are going to impart some advice from you. Between everybody up here, you're probably looking at 100 years of a corrections experience, with myself included. That gets them to the 100 years. So, CO Duarte, what would you like to impart to new corrections officers?
I'm gonna give some information for everybody, but the female officer, as a female, it's a pretty intimidating environment. I think that you really need to hone down quickly your interpersonal communication skills. We call them our IPC skills. You need to learn how to talk to people, and that goes for both male and females, because the best way to sort out any or get information to help resolve an issue are the words you're gonna say and the communication that you're going to have with the inmate. So learning how to talk to people is going to really help you advance your career.
Anybody else have thoughts on what CO Duarte just imparted?
Yeah, I think communication is the biggest in this field. It's your foundation for whatever's going to happen from here on out. You can be a 50-year-old retired veteran that started a profession, or you can be brand new, 18, 20, 21 years old, and communication is what it starts with from a respect standpoint. You give it, you demand it.
It's your best scenario. The best outcome they can have would always be to de-escalate a situation through communication. Unfortunately, it doesn't always happen that way, though. You always have to be ready for the worst in any given time. So that's also really important. Safety is paramount in this type of job.
I'll just add to what Sergeant Montano was just saying about safety. You got to remember where you're coming to work every day. You know, it can be a dangerous place. Most of the time, it's mundane. It becomes mundane. 90% of the time, nothing's really happening, and then 10% of the time is basically when you're having a bad day. So just remember, every day can be that 10%. So you don't want to be complacent. You want to make sure you're doing your job safely, securely, making sure you are doing your job so you go home to your family.
You use your outside environment as a tool for yourself, and how you speak to people when you go in a restaurant. You know, looking around, paying attention, how to speak to the waiter, the waitress. Use your communication skills, how you speak, how you talk, how you look at people, how you present yourself. It's very important, and it'll help you. That's a tool that you can use that can help you when you come into a corrections environment. I think that's very helpful.
One thing to top it off, again from the outside in, everyone's an advocate of change, and with this career path, career choosing, you have a direct ability to affect change. Everyone can, verbalize what they would like to change. We live in a changing time. The society or outside of us is changing. We have the ability to impact that change, and you can be the start of that.
One of the things you want to also look at is, although you are in a correctional environment, we still have a good time every day. We have a blast. We're all friends. We look out for each other. One of the things that you want to focus on when you start a career in law enforcement is looking for that positive socialization agent. And that's somebody that's who's going to acclimate you to this career, both give you some good wisdom and help you acclimate to this environment and not let it be something that completely consumes you. They want to give you the positive advice and make sure that you're successful in this career, because it is something that's mostly negative, and it's the thankless job. Nobody's going to tell you every day, thank you for what you do, thank you for keeping me in jail. It can be very negative. So maintaining that positive attitude and maintaining the positive relationships with your peers is paramount in this career also.
It's a daily reminder, day in and day out. You get to come over here every day and see the other side of what life could be if you make the wrong choices. And it's, like I said, daily reminder to be grateful every day that you get to leave, go home to your family. And speaking of family, you get to build your own family here with the camaraderie. Everybody highly depends on each other. It's a good place. So you build strong relationships here as well.
But make sure you also have that family on the outside that supports you also, whether it be your girlfriend, whether it be your wife, husband, mom, dad. Make sure that they're behind you and they're supporting you through this time, through your law enforcement career. I mean, it's very important also. I think a lot of us use our families and they support them. They support everything that we do and how we handle things. I think that's important as well. Keep your family also close to you and make sure they support you in everything that you do.
With that said, make sure when you come to work, leave your home life at home. Don't bring it to work. Don't come to work angry. Don't come to work upset, because you're gonna go into your pod and you're gonna run your housing unit, and you need to be in that pod mentally. And when you go home, don't take work home with you. Don't be upset. Just come to work, do work, go home, be home.
This job always, I like to say it's only as stressful as you make it. It's very easy to get agitated and heated over rude comments that are made towards you. It's nothing personal. The job is not supposed to be personal. It's too easy to get mad over something that there's really no need for it. It's just not the job for you if you're gonna come in every day and get offended easily, and there really is no need for that.
You definitely need to have some tough skin. And again, it all goes back to communication. Just get your point across, get your job done.
When you're working around inmates, you just have to remember, they're gonna do things. They're gonna do them. It's not personal. It's gonna happen. Just know it's gonna happen. It's their job to try and get over on you. It's their job to try and intimidate you. It's their job to try and manipulate you into doing things that you're not supposed to do. And then it's your job to not let it happen. It's really that simple. You know, you don't take it personal. It's what's gonna happen. They have a job, you have a job. And it's not personal. If you can't do this job without taking it personal, then this job is probably not for you. And I don't even like saying job, because this isn't a job anymore. This is a profession. People get into this job now as a profession. You have to be a professional. You have to understand case law. You have to understand the statutes of your state. The courts require us to understand what is the current laws that guide us on how we do our business. It's not the profession I came into 24 years ago. This is a very demanding profession, but a very good profession if you can get to 20 years or 24 years. Like I said, there's a lot of experience up here, but it's not just a job anymore. This is a profession. You have to be professional. You go to an academy, you get through the academy, you have to stay current on what current case law is and what you're allowed to do, how you're allowed to do it, how you interact with the inmates. So just realize this isn't just a job that you're just going to come and do every day. This is a profession. Obviously, the people watching this video understand that. That's why you have that book, because you're trying to teach yourself self-education so you can do your job professionally within that profession or corrections field.
Can you guys describe camaraderie in this career field versus maybe any other profession?
Well, as somebody who was in the military, I can liken it to the camaraderie you have with the people that you served with, because you come into work here every day and you're serving with these people, and rank doesn't matter when it comes to that. I'm sure these guys will tell you I might be Captain Stewart, but I'm still Stewart. When it comes to camaraderie, when they need help or if I need help, we're all there for each other. It's and the bigger your organization, not everybody gets along. It's just like your family. You have some family members that you might argue with today, but you know what? When it comes time, when push comes to shove, nobody's going to mess with your family members. That's the type of camaraderie that gets built here. We might have little tiffs, we may be upset with each other, but when push comes to shove, they all back each other up. They all will help each other, and that's kind of it in a nutshell as far as the camaraderie that I see anybody else.
Most definitely. You get accustomed to knowing your voices on the radio, and you know when something's not so right across the way. You might give them a phone call and make sure they're okay, that everything's code 4, and you can hear some haste in their voice when something's going down. Officer needs assistance, and your blood gets pumping, and you're out those doors. You're locking down your pod. You're getting to make sure that your friend, your coworker, is okay. You find what we say when we run into a pot: find the brown, find your officer, make sure they're okay, and then attend to the scene.
Similar to that in sports as well. Each one of these officers here, you know, it's like your sporting team. You know, you do anything to win the game, except for we win the day by being able to go home safely. And that's the mentality that a lot of us, I played sports my entire life, so that's the mentality that I bring in. I'm gonna do anything and whatever it takes for us to win, whether that be win the day, win the week, win the year, whatever contest it may be, but as long as we win.
You prepare your mindset that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And make sure everybody's on board, on the same page as everybody else is. You know, listen to your radio, you have to be conscious on what's going on, what's happening, what's the time of day. You know, all the inmates out right now, they all locked down. You hear an assistance, you know, what's going on. You have to know what's happening. So knowing all your partners and certain units and where they're at and how they do things and how they handle things is gonna help you that much more to have that response time. I think that's another way to put it.
And I'll speak for the people here. Don't wear your emotions on your sleeve, you know? If a fellow officer comes up to you and says, you know what, hey, you're becoming complacent, that's not where you're supposed to be standing when you're escorting an inmate. You get upset with that officer. That officer's trying to help you out. And that's something we do all the time, is remind each other how we're supposed to do the job and make sure we're doing the job right. So you always look out for each other. And if you see somebody that's probably not paying attention, you just tap them on the shoulder and say, hey, are you all right? Do I need to pull you out of this pod today? Should I replace you? Should somebody else come up here? Are you having a bad day? So you always have to look out for each other in that aspect as well.
One word you want to be careful to is respect. Respect the inmate as well, as if it was a family member of your own that's maybe in the facility somehow. Respect them and how you want your family member to be respected as well, but still be stern in the rules and the regulations that still has to be followed in the units, in the pod, and in courtroom, or wherever the case might be. Be respectful, be stern at the same time. So you have to learn that and get that mindset.
Every human being deserves dignity. So you just have to remember that wherever you're at, whether it's in here, whether it's out there. So you afford that dignity to human beings. And usually you'll get that back in return. I like what Roscoe said. You look at an inmate and you treat that person like you would want somebody to treat your brother if your brother was in here.
Regardless of what crime they've committed, you want to be impartial. So it doesn't matter why they're here. And a lot of us will tell you, we never look up any of the inmates. We rarely watch the news, so we don't know why they're here. Because you don't want to ever have that appearance of a bias because of the nature of their charges or because of something that you find out about them. That along goes with treating them with dignity and with respect. You treat them based on how they treat you, and you pay that back to them that same way. So you want to make sure that that's who you are, and that's the way you run your housing unit and the way you deal with your inmates on a daily basis.
Something I was taught in the academy, 3 words: firm, fair, and consistent. Be the same every day. Be firm, because you're enforcing rules, and enforce the rules fairly. It's that simple.
It's very easy to forget that the same people that you're watching over every day is the same part of your community. Once you take off the uniform and you're back out with your family, shopping or whatever the case, having dinner, all too often you bump into the same people. You have to keep that in mind at all times as well.
For the future officers, if you could offer them one piece of the most important advice that you have.
I'll start that one off. In today's climate and what's required of us and what we need to know, I would say educate yourself. And it's so much easier today than it was in the past. I mean, you can jump on Google, type in a sentence, and you can get 100 different ways on how to run a housing unit. So for me, it's education. You got to educate yourself. You have to be smart. You know, it's not a job just for knuckle draggers anymore, so to speak, as it was when I first came in. You have to be smart. You have to know how to do this job. You have to be articulate in writing and verbal. So you just educate yourself as much as you can, as constantly as you can, and don't wait for somebody else to provide that opportunity to you for an education. Just go get it. It's out there now.
Don't get into it saying, I want to give that a try. Know what you're getting yourself into. Prepare yourself, like Captain Stewart says. Prepare yourself. Know can I handle that? Can I do this? Am I able to expand, and am I able to handle the rigors of this job, this career? You know, it's not just something just to hold on for a month or so. This is something I want to get into. I'm going to use this as a stepping stone for something else. You know, use that as well. But is it something that I can handle? Prepare your mindset on that.
Also value your skill set. Your skill set is a tangible item in which you have ownership over. And it brings value to the industry itself. We're not all the same, we're all different. What you have to offer may help a lot more people than you think within yourself. But value that skill set. You have something to bring to the table, even if you think it's not something that you would be good at. Bring your skill set. Try it out. You never know. Your skill set is valued.
I just said work hard from the get-go. Be a hard worker when you come in. You know, busted 8 in, busted 8 out. Conduct your searches. Make sure your house units are safe, and safety and security, I guess, would be my thing from the standpoint. Coming in the job, you have to know what you're looking for, know what's happened, know the potentials of what could happen, and why we do things to avoid things from happening.
I think my piece of advice would be to maintain a positive attitude. You're gonna have your good days and you're gonna have your bad days. And some of those days may be a week of bad and one day good. You have to appreciate those, and every day wash off that bad day and start fresh. Because if you don't maintain that positive attitude, you're gonna get into a rut and you're gonna get complacent. And that's not one word that you ever wanna use about yourself or anybody to describe you. So be positive, but still learn. Although you washed off yesterday and what happened, you want to learn from it and take the positive out of that and move forward.
I would say be ambitious. It makes your career a lot more rewarding. It is a very rewarding career. It's fun if you make it fun. It is a job, and you are expected to perform, but ambition, it gives you that drive day in and out to come and perform to your fullest potential. And if you go up the ranks, and then you can make change and do things in a positive way, it makes your career that much better.
That you have something might happen, pick up on those things. Don't just toss them on the wayside. Watch what the world around you in the public, here in the jail, when you're watching your inmates, you can see when something's just not right. On the outs, use your public life and your life on the outs to really hone that skill set. So when you get here, you're managing your 36 inmates that are out on day room. You're watching all their lives unfold in front of you. So really be aware of your surroundings and be attention to detail, because here in this environment, you're going to need that skill set.
I'd also say it's really important to not try and be something you're not. I think when I see people who come into this profession and they don't last very long, it's because they tried to be something they're not. When you're dealing with inmates, you're not going to change your personality because you started working here. If you're a person who is jovial and uses comedic relief to get compliance from inmates, don't change and try and become somebody who's hard-nosed and tough, so to speak. Use what your personality is. The inmates will get used to how you deal with them and how you handle business, but don't try and change, because it's impossible, and you're creating internal conflict with yourself, which then causes the job to be more difficult than it is. You know how you are. I used humor to get the inmates to listen to me and to comply with the things I wanted. Other officers would use write-ups and reports to do that. It was never my way. So however you are, whatever your personality is or what your strengths are, those are your strengths and that's your personality. And you're not going to change it just because you started working here. The inmates can see it. I'll just tell the joke. Every now and then we have a new academy class come through, and I call it the ILS syndrome, imaginary lat syndrome. You'll always see 2 or 3 people. The inmates will come walking by and they puff up like a blow frog. If I can see it, the inmates see it. So don't do that. You are who you are. You're not bigger than you are. Don't try and change.
Thank you.